these of this size, these large magnitude fires. And you know, this is let me step out of the way here. This is the area, we're actually in Malibu, so this is the area where the fire jumped the road. It burnt the homes on that side. It destroyed homes on the beach side. I'm going to ask photographer, I know there's a lamp in the way, but I'm going to ask photographer Tony Butita just to go to the beach side to show you some of the devastation that we're seeing up and down Pacific Coast Highway. On the beach side in Malibu, not even in the Palisades area. That is how strong this fire and how fast moving it was. Those flames fanned by the Santa Ana winds and sending those embers to Malibu. That entire hillside is charred, and just up and down Pacific Coast Highway. The loss is just incredible. Home after home, block after block of burnt down houses. And just a very sad finding here. Again, homicide detectives with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, they're fanning out. They're sending teams to 3 locations, including right here in Malibu, to determine if these remains that were found by deputies doing a welfare check, deputies who received a call from someone who was worried about the person or persons who lived at this home, concerned they may not have been able to get out or chose not to get out. And those deputies found what they believed to be, and they reported as, human remains.
And we're hoping we're not going to hear more news like this as the aftermath of this continues. And we're just going to start assessing the damage and getting into these properties where the debris has been left over from all of the destruction. And unfortunately, findings like this are very devastating. And hopefully those numbers won't go up in terms of fatalities when we talk about this fire, Gigi.
Sources tell me that they expect to receive more calls, more requests to do welfare checks. A lot of times, family members, they wait a couple of days. They think, well, maybe, you know, they didn't take their cell phone. Maybe they're in an evacuation center. I'm sure they're going to call me. I'm going to go back to the home right there. And you see L.A. County Sheriff bomb squad and arson investigators. They are part of this multi-level investigation. Homicide detectives, again, are en route. They've been focused on what appears to be the kitchen area of this home. And we say appears to be because it looks like there's a stove in the area where they've been looking at, where they've isolated that area. And again, this is only one of 3 homes. 2 are in the Eaton fire area. Homicide detectives are also heading there. One of those, law enforcement sources tell me, it was firefighters who found in the rubble of a home human remains. What they were doing, if they were maybe looking for hot spots, or if maybe somebody came up and asked them to please look for a loved one, but it was firefighters who reported to the Sheriff's Department they had found what appeared to be human remains. And at another home, deputies were actually flagged down by someone who said they had found human remains. Unclear what the relationship between the person who flagged the deputies down and that home is, if they're connected, if they live there, if they're a family member looking for their loved one. All of that, of course, will be part of the investigation. Just a tragic story, and you know, it will again be the medical examiner who determines if these are indeed human remains.
All right, Gigi, thank you so much for that breaking news, that update there. Unfortunately, tragic news coming out of the Palisades fire day after day. And as she was mentioning, more calls for welfare checks could come in the days to come because evacuation centers are filled with people, and perhaps families are going to be waiting for a little bit before making those calls to officials. But evacuation centers, they're full and they're set up for the Palisades fire victims. Evacuees can go to the Westwood Recreation Center. That address on your screen right there, 1350 South Sepulveda Boulevard.
Another evacuation center as an option is the Dream Center in Los Angeles.
And there are 2 evacuation centers for livestock and larger animals. That's at Pierce College, 6201 Winnetka Avenue in Woodland Hills, or the Los Angeles Equestrian Center at 480 Riverside Drive in Burbank.
And then for the smaller animals like cats and dogs, those can be taken to the Agora Animal Care Center at 29525 Agora Road in Agora.
And again, looking at the enormity of the Palisades fire, here's a map, and it shows you just how broad the Palisades fire is. It started near Piedra Morada and Monte Hermosa drives. Red flag warnings are still in effect here, and as we look at the scene and the acreage, we know that this is larger than the size of Manhattan. Maria.
It's really incredible when you put it into that context. Like, there it is. I think that would be better if I turned the microphone back on. But yes, I agree. When you put that comparison in perspective about the size of Manhattan, a lot of us know that's a large area encompassing so many people, and that is what we are seeing here, bigger than that with just the Palisades fire and destruction alone. Just want to echo what officials were saying there during that press conference and how things are looking better right now. The winds are actually lighter, so we're getting a brief break from the strong winds. So it's going to stay lighter this morning, so firefighters, those fixed-wing aircraft, those air assets have this window of several hours right now where they can really try to attack this fire and the other fires burning across Southern California before the winds start to pick up again. It's going to get stronger as we get to this afternoon and evening into early tomorrow morning. And yes, those red flag warnings continue for the danger, fire danger, where we get that small spark somewhere, perhaps. That is still possible outside of these fire zones, and that can spread rapidly under these weather conditions. 55 degrees currently in Burbank, same for downtown LA. It's 33 in Lancaster, 65 in Santa Ana. Notice those arrows, so those winds still coming out of the northeast. The pressure gradient, or the difference in pressure between this area of high pressure here over SoCal and that lower pressure now well to our south and east, has really relaxed, and that's allowed the winds to relax as well. But the prevailing winds, although much lighter, is still coming from the northeasterly direction, and that is helping to dry things out. So that is why we still have the fire danger and the red flag warnings. Temperatures this afternoon are going to range from 77 downtown, 76 for the valleys. We've got the smoke advisory in effect. Of course, very hazardous air quality. We can't stress it enough. Please limit your activities outdoors.
Okay, please limit the activities outdoors. Okay, I'm going to end this news coverage right now, but I've got a report of my own to talk about here. Okay, what we've been seeing in the Los Angeles area is very poignant. Okay, it's very hard. It's hard to understand, and it's even harder to weather it when people are right there having to deal with it in their residences, in the city, everything else. It's bad. It's really bad. Now, I've made some notes that I want to share with you. Okay? The Pacific Palisades fire is where the fire first started. Pacific Palisades, California. I want to first start off saying that all schools in Los Angeles County are closed. All schools in Los Angeles County have been closed, and they remain closed. I don't think they're going to open up until at least Monday at the earliest. Now, with that said, there have been many schools all over Los Angeles that have been destroyed or badly damaged because of the fire. So those will not be opening back up. They're just not going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now, things are really bad. Okay? I'm not going to lie to you. The politicians that you saw on our first broadcast lied to us. Absolutely out and out lied to us. Now, let me give you some factual information. Okay? As I said, the fire in Pacific Palisades is where the fire originally started. That fire has reached upwards of 15,680 acres as of this morning. 15,800 or 600, 15,000 15,800 acres as of this morning. Now, the forward speed of the fire has been stopped. The forward speed of the fire has been stopped. With that said, everybody needs to realize this fire is still active and it's still burning. I'm not going to paint a pretty picture here because there's no pretty picture to paint. Okay? That fire has been, the forward momentum has been stopped for now. Now, overnight, the winds died down over Southern California. And as a result, the firefighters have had a chance to gain some upper hand on the fires. Now, last night, I was up to about 3 o'clock this morning. The fires in Hollywood really got going last night. In one case, fires from one hillside, the embers spread in the wind and they torched, the ember landed on somebody's deck, wooden deck, and the deck started on fire. Firefighters thought they had the deck put out. Okay? Firefighters had a distance water stream focusing on that area of the person's deck, and they thought the fire was out. It was not. The fire spread along the top of the deck into the house. As a result, that house burned down. Okay? The fire on the deck started the fire. Then the fire moved into the house and ended up burning down the house within 45 minutes. A very hot, fast-moving fire over there in the Hollywood Hills. Burn it down. In the process of that house burning, the embers from that house had started a fire on the house beneath that property. That house also burned to the ground. Burned both houses burned to the ground within about a 2-hour period. Sad thing. Very sad thing. As of midnight, Los Angeles City asked the people in the Hollywood Hills to evacuate. And the people in Hollywood Hills in that area did evacuate. All roads out of Hollywood were jam-packed, bumper to bumper. All you saw on the roadways was red taillights. That's all you saw. So the people in Hollywood did evacuate. They obeyed the order to evacuate. Now there are evacuation orders still up. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. The Eaton fire. The Eaton fire that they talked about on this earlier broadcast, YouTube cut us off, guys. I'm sorry. But the Eaton fire that they talked about on this earlier broadcast a little bit ago was stopped at 10,680 acres. 10,680 acres. The Woodley fire is out. As of about 7 p.m. last night, the Woodley fire was stopped at 600 and some acres. They contained it and they put it out. The Woodley fire is no more. The Hearst fire is still burning. The Hearst fire is still burning. But again, even with the Hearst fire, the forward momentum of the fire has been stopped overnight. Okay? So at this point in time, firefighters in Pacific Palisades and over in the Eaton fire and also the Hearst fire are trying to contain it now. That's the biggest job, is containment. Now, overnight, like I said, the winds calmed down. Maybe 15 to 20 miles per hour tops. Prior to that, it was upwards of 30, 60 miles per hour. The winds slowed down greatly. This allowed the crews to get a handle on some of these fires. Now, the winds will pick up this afternoon. That's why it is so vitally important for fire crews to get a handle on this fire before these winds pick up this afternoon. Now, the winds will pick up this afternoon, but they will also die down. Not completely die, but they will slow down this evening. That will again give firefighters more of a chance to get a handle on these fires. The red flag warning is still in effect through at least tomorrow. With that said, these firefighters should get some kind of hand on these fires by tomorrow. We should start seeing containment numbers tomorrow. I don't expect to see any containment numbers for the Hearst fire, for the Eaton fire, or the Pacific Palisades fire. I don't expect containment numbers until at least tomorrow. Over in Sylmar, the Sylmar fire is still moving. I don't have any hard numbers on what's happening in Sylmar, but the Sylmar fire is still moving. Okay? That's over towards the Eastern Mountains, outside of Los Angeles. Schools, like I said, have been closed. Schools, like I said, have been closed. The Los Angeles County Sheriff and the LA Police Chief have said that they have arrested 20 looters. They have warned that if you come into the burn areas and you even think that you're going to steal from anybody's home, you have another thing coming. The sheriff and the Los Angeles police are patrolling those areas heavily. If they find you in that area and you don't belong there, you will be arrested. Okay, I'm just going to put that out right straight, perfectly out. If you come into an area with the idea you're going to steal from somebody, you better have another thing coming. You will be arrested. And in that arrest, you may face misdemeanor and or felony charges. You may face misdemeanor or felony charges. Hold on a second. Okay. Carol's going to answer that call. It's our family. You will face at least misdemeanor, if not felony charges, if you try to loot an area. So don't do it. Now, in the earlier broadcast, you heard the politicians talk about fire insurance. Many insurance companies have dropped their fire insurance coverage. Many people have lost their homes, and their home loss will not be covered by insurance. It's a sad day. The insurance companies in Los Angeles and all over Southern California have gotten tired of paying out these huge claims because of fires. It's wrong. It is definitely wrong. But now, a lot of these people, and I'm going to say a majority of the people who lost their homes in these fires, will not be able to recover any money as a result of the fires. They've lost everything. With that said, at least 100, possibly more, probably hundreds of celebrities have lost their homes. Hundreds of celebrities have lost their homes, including some of the richest families in Los Angeles. Unreal. Unreal. Police and fire officials have also lost their homes. Police and fire officials have been asked to evacuate their homes during the past 48 hours. Some of them have lost their homes as well. Even some politicians were asked to evacuate last night, and it's still unclear whether their homes have been lost. If you live in the Los Angeles area, you can call a helpline in Los Angeles, 1-800-675-HELP. 1-800-675-HELP. They will answer questions or put you in touch with the people that can help you. Okay? Again, 20 people have been arrested for looting so far. 5 people have been killed in the fires so far, and today They just found one other person's remains in the Palisade area where their house burned down. So we may have another individual that had been found this morning. They're not identifying the person as either a person or an animal. But once the identification has been made, they may add that to the people that have lost their lives as a result of this fire. Red flag warnings. Okay, let me repeat what red flag warnings are so you completely understand what that's all about. Red flag warnings exist when we have several conditions. Number one, we have weather conditions such as wind. Wind blowing in, as of the last 2 days, it's blowing in at 100 miles per hour. 60 to 100 mile per hour gusts. Okay? We have high winds coming in off the desert. Second, low humidity. Low humidity. Coupled with those winds, the tinder in the area. Okay? The brush in the area becomes tinder, dried out. With the winds and the low humidity, the brush dries out very rapidly. And all it takes is a spark to light the brush on fire. That's what's happened. Okay? They issued a red flag warning for those very conditions. High winds, tinder, and low humidity. That equals a red flag warning. Those red flag warnings exist until at least tomorrow night. Okay? That's to possibly help prevent more fires from occurring. Now, I'm not going to say that there will not be more fires that happen. There are reckless people, feckless, reckless people that are out there and they will start fires. That still is a possibility. Also, the possibility for an accidental fire getting started may happen. I've seen it happen. There are law enforcement officers from all over Southern California that are offered their help to patrol outlying areas to help prevent the fires from happening. There are law enforcement officers from all over California, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and even Northern Oregon. Law enforcement officers from all those states are also coming into California to help patrol the areas, both in the burn areas and out in the outer areas to help prevent fires from starting and arresting anybody that tries to start the fires. Okay? We heard from the National Forest Service today. The Los Angeles National Forest has been closed. The Los Angeles National Forest has been closed. That way they're not putting any more people at risk, either tourists coming into the LA National Forest area, or even National Forest employees. The forest has been closed. Okay? Now, some of you were talking about Los Angeles getting federal support. And why not North Carolina? Why not Florida? Why not Maui, Hawaii? Let's go back to Maui, Hawaii. When the Maui fire happened, and allegedly they still don't know a cause of that fire in Maui. We did some research. We've done a lot of research. Just a second about that. Dennis N. just gifted 5 EMA memberships to our friends and family here in the chat here. Mimi's was gifted a 1-month membership. Dawn Dermody was given a 1-month membership. Catherine Willie was given a 1-month membership. Helen and MT Jen was given a 1-month membership. Thank you, Dennis, for that. Those people that just got 1-month memberships to our EMA family here on YouTube, please thank Dennis for that membership. That's very much appreciated. Thank you, Dennis, for that generosity. Anyway, getting back to the federal support. I think we all know what happened in Maui. That was a DEW weapon. That was a DEW weapon, possibly a satellite, that focused a laser on the eastern side of Maui that lit that fire. Okay? The federal government, the state of Hawaii, is not going to tell you that. The federal government and the state of Hawaii is not going to tell you that because they don't want anybody to know that they have those weapons. Those weapons are also on military planes. Those weapons are also on military planes. I've seen the planes outfitted with DEW weapons. Okay? Now, when it comes to federal support, FEMA gave residents of Hawaii, residents of Maui, $750 only. $750. That does not replace people's homes that were lost in the Maui fire. Doesn't even come close. Yet the citizens of Maui are not getting any more money. Why not? Blame that on Biden. Blame that on FEMA. Okay? When I saw the head of FEMA in Maui walking through Maui, I thought, what the heck is going on here? And when I heard that citizens were only getting $750 checks, that does not even come close to keeping them in housing. And then all of a sudden, Biden appropriated money for 1 year to house people in Airbnbs and hotels around Maui. But what happens now, a year later? Where are those families now? We haven't heard. Then we have the Hurricane Helene, and even Milton that burst into Florida. And Hurricane Helene kept going and moved in through Georgia, South and North Carolina, before being dying out and going back out to sea in southern Virginia. Hurricane Helene flew into North Carolina, doing major damage. Well, it flew into Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina, doing major damage. But here in North Carolina, people are still without homes. People are actually living in tents. Now, because of your generosity, I was able to give donations to Samaritan's Purse, and also to one of Glenn Beck's charities called Mercury One. They provided tents. They've also provided wood stoves that keep those tents warm, and blankets and clothing. Carol and I have made donations to thrift shops that have been given to those people in Western North Carolina. And we really appreciate that. Sage Pup is here in the chat saying, I guess people are supposed to buy and live on in a tent for $750. Yeah. $750 doesn't even pay for their survival for 1 month. But that's all that FEMA gave the residents of Maui, South and North Carolina. That's all they got. And yet, after I spoke with Mike Johnson, Speaker Johnson from the U.S. House of Representatives, Speaker Johnson promised more money to FEMA to be able to help recover people in South and North Carolina. Was that done? I personally have not seen any of that money being appropriated to the people in Western North Carolina. even though Mike Johnson gave FEMA the money. I know for a fact that FEMA got the money. $30 billion FEMA got. What has FEMA done with money? Every one of you, each and every one of us, we need to contact our representatives and ask them, what has FEMA done with the $30 billion that Speaker of the House Mike Johnson gave to FEMA to help the people here in North Carolina? Now, there are people here in the United States that have built tiny homes for the people here in North Carolina that were left without homes, that had their homes destroyed by the hurricane and the subsequent dam burst that flooded Asheville. Those people delivered homes on the backs of trailers, pulling the tiny homes up to Asheville and points east, small towns and villages in western North Carolina. What happened then? When those tiny homes reached Asheville and those other communities, guess what? The politicians stopped the homes from being delivered. In many cases, the politicians stopped the homes from being delivered, saying, oh, those properties that those people are on lay in a floodplain. Really? 100-year floodplain? We just saw a hurricane blow in. 100-year storm. It's not likely that a storm's going to hit again in that area. Yet the politicians are telling those people they can't have tiny homes to live in temporarily until they rebuild on their property. So what happened? The politicians are preventing people from even existing. Politicians are asking people to live in tents. Now, through your donations and the donations of many other people, these wood stoves have been brought to tents. These wood stoves have been brought to tents, keeping people warm in their tents so people can have some kind of life until their homes can be rebuilt. It's a sad day when our government keeps people from existing, keeps people from living. That's a sad day. Renee Steffi says one of her friends had to move in with her boyfriend's mother. They have no running water still. One of my friends here in Morganton had winds that blew into their home, knocking over 3 trees that demolished their home. 3 trees that were over 100 years old smashed into their over 100-year-old home, destroyed it. Through the generosity of people in my area, people that I go to church with. One family in my church had a home that they had as a rental. The people had moved out. So that family that had that home quickly cleaned it out. And members of the church came in and helped that family whose home had been destroyed move things out very carefully from their home into the new home that they had been given. The generosity of people in this area is incredible. It's too darn bad that the politicians cannot see past the nose on their face. And I believe the same thing is true with FEMA in Washington, D.C. They're not doing their darn jobs. They're not doing their darn jobs. Laura Marie says it takes years to rebuild from a disaster. I agree. And then, even if that's possible, it takes years. But what is happening with those people that are still living in tents in Asheville, Boone, Chimney Rock, and other communities in western North Carolina? What's up with that? Renee Steffi's asking, where is their help? I agree. Federal government, where is their help? The governor of North Carolina, where is their help? I'm asking. I'm asking. I know for a fact that some of them even watch this program. I know for a fact that some of them watch this program. I'm also asking for people that live in Tennessee, because those people living in Tennessee had their towns also wiped out. Fact. And those people in Tennessee are facing major challenges, as Renee Steffi said here in the chat. A lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are hurting. And now, we have people in Los Angeles that are hurting big time. Now, I want to go over to a slide here that I have prepared to show you. Will give you an idea of what is going on in the Los Angeles area. Presently, in Los Angeles, we have 426,000 people without power. In Los Angeles, we have over 426,000 people without power. Some of that power is cut by California Edison to try to prevent more fires. Some of that power is also cut because those homes no longer exist. Over 426,000 people without power. That's a lot better than it was yesterday when we had 1,760,000 people without power. So now it's less than 500,000 people without power in Los Angeles today. Let's see. Fire hydrants. The fire department was talking about fire hydrants without water in Pacific Palisades. What happened there? I'm going to tell you what happened there. Governor Newsom, and I'm not going to call him by his real name. He's scum. Governor Newsom allowed water from the rainy season last year. He allowed dams to release water. He allowed dams to release water. And that water drained through the rivers out to sea. As a result, the dams that supply water to the Los Angeles area did not have enough water to keep the pressure up at the hydrants in Pacific Palisades. That is why the fire hydrants in Pacific Palisades died out, why there is no water. It's unreal what the governor did. The governor is responsible for those hydrants going without water. Plain and simple. They can talk a blue streak. They can say whatever they want to say. But it's Governor Newsom that did it. Governor Newsom is responsible for some of those homes burning down because the fire hydrants died out. Now, today they're trying to divert some water to some of those fire hydrants from other reservoirs. In the Hollywood area, the Eaton Fire, the Hearst Fire. Those fire areas still have water at the hydrants. And we have public works trucks, great big huge water buffalo trucks, great big huge water buffalo trucks that have a cylinder on the back of the truck delivering upwards of 40,000 gallons of water at a time. And the fire department can hook hoses up to those water buffalo trucks to help put out fires right from the water buffalo. They don't have to wait and transfer the water to the fire truck. They can hook up a fire hose and immediately begin pumping water to a fire. I've heard we have upwards of 7,000 water buffalo trucks supplied from LA County and LA City water buffaloes and other water buffaloes coming from outlying cities. Huge construction trucks are also offering their water buffalo trucks to help put out these fires. But if you want to know who's responsible for some of these fires, look as far as your governor. Look as far as your mayor of Los Angeles, Mayor Bass. Mayor Bass has blood on her hands. Bass and some of the other politicians in the LA area have blood on their hands. As you saw, Mayor Bass was avoiding questions. Mayor Bass was avoiding questions. She'd semi-answer one question and completely avoided the other. You saw that on this last broadcast at that news conference. If you want to blame anybody, look as far as your politicians. They are the ones responsible for what they're doing. And not just Mayor Bass. As I stated in my last night's broadcast, we look over to the fire chief of LA Fire. Look at her. Now, I'm not condemning her because she's a lesbian. I'm not condemning her because she's a lesbian, but I am going to hold her responsible for what she has or has not done. As I stated last night, she took over as the fire chief in Los Angeles last January. She immediately instituted the DEI hire campaign. She immediately introduced DEI to the LA Fire Department. She reduced the budget to the fire department by $23 million. The present fire chief reduced the budget to the LA Fire Department by $23 million. They took out of service big fire trucks. They fired firefighters, laid them off and fired them. It's unreal. All because she wanted to put up the DEI program. She says there's too much discrimination to Hispanics, too much discrimination to LGBTQ. She instituted the DEI department within the fire department. As I said last night, yes, there was discrimination with that fire department. There was discrimination with the police departments, guaranteed. There's discrimination at the sheriff's office, guaranteed. There are evil cops. There are evil cops. There are evil fire officers as well. But for her to reduce the budget by $23 million, she and the mayor of Los Angeles, Ms. Bass, can be held responsible for some of these fires and people losing their homes. They're not responsible for necessarily starting the fire, but they are responsible for the people losing their homes and loss of life. Because they did it. The fire chief reduced the budget to the fire department by $23 million. I've been told that Mayor Bass has also reduced the budget to the city. Incredible. This is what happens. This is what happens. Now, in addition to that, we have another problem in LA and throughout the United States. In California, all over California. We have Governor Newsom putting together the Sanctuary City program, allowing illegals to come across the border, unvetted, giving them money for education, giving them money for homes to live in, giving them money for food. Where is that money coming from? From the federal budget. Biden gave Newsom money, but Newsom is also taking money from other programs within the state of California. He has bankrupted California. California is one step below bankruptcy right now because of your governor. Now, we just got through an election, and Governor Newsom won the election again. Something's got to be done. People must be held responsible for their inaction. Newsom has instituted programs that were illegal. And President Trump is going to hold politicians in states and cities responsible for being sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. President Trump is going to take over on January 20th. And he's going to not allow federal money to be sent to those states and cities that are allowing themselves to be sanctuary cities and states. The federal government's going to cut them off. So if you want money, if you want your homes to be spared from burning down, if you want your cities and states to have money from the federal government to repave roads, to keep the lights on in your cities and states, you have only your own politicians in your cities and states to be held responsible. And it's not just California I'm talking about. Cities and states all over this country have allowed those cities and states to become sanctuary cities. New York Mayor Adams is in criminal trouble right now. And now he's trying to turn the DEI off in New York. He's willing to work with Mr. Holman for Homeland Security, who's now the border czar. He's willing to take the criminals, the illegals in New York, and repatriate them to Mexico. That's going to happen across this country, including California, even though Governor Newsom said he will not allow federal officers into the jails in California to arrest illegal alien criminals. That's the truth. These criminals are in jail. Not all of them, but a good share of them are in jail. And Newsom is going to try to protect them. Unreal. Do you see a pattern here? Do you see a pattern of illegal activity by our politicians? Allowing people to move into their communities and actually burn down their communities? Yes, there's a problem here. It's a major problem. And somebody needs to be held responsible. True. Somebody needs to be held responsible. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. As of January 20th, these cities and states are going to have their federal money cut off. They won't get federal funding for the cities and states if they want to be sanctuary cities and states. Not going to happen. Governor Newsom 6 months ago started getting attorneys ready to sue the federal government to stop the harassment from the federal government and keep the money flowing into California. Governor Newsom has hired a bunch of attorneys to help protect the state of California and to remain a sanctuary state. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. What they've done is illegal. What they have done is illegal, guys. Plain and simple. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Veronica Lynn is here in the chat saying, what a circus show it all is. You're absolutely right. One big circus show. It's all going to start coming to an end. We cannot continue funding people's morals or lack thereof. The DEI hire program in the LA Fire Department is probably going to come to an end as well. Yes, I know there are bullies within every department, including the fire department. There are bullies. But HR, human resources, can take care of that. Complaints can be filed. Bullies can be dealt with. We did that in my department when I was a police officer. We got rid of bullies within the department, and then we got rid of the police chief that allowed it to happen. So I know for a fact that departments can get rid of the bullies, and we can make our workplaces safer. It's not just the fire and police departments, it's every job throughout this country. We just got to be big enough to stand up and say we're not going to put up with it any longer. Period. Period. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. Now, with that said, in our program from earlier, they showed a shelter. I'm going to tell you the address of that shelter, so if you live in the Los Angeles area, you or your family members can be shown to this shelter to provide a roof over your head and even food to feed you and your family. There is a shelter at 1350 South Sepulveda Boulevard. 1350 South Sepulveda Boulevard in Los Angeles. Big animals. Large animals can be taken to the Pasadena Rose Bowl. Large animals can be taken to fairgrounds and the Pasadena Rose Bowl. Animal shelters have also opened up their facilities to take small animals that have been lost as a result of the fire. Okay? Animal shelters have opened up their facilities to lost animals as a result of the fires. Large animals can be taken to your fairgrounds and the Rose Bowl, Pasadena Rose Bowl. Okay? That's your help there. Does anybody have any more questions that I have or have not answered? Veronica Lynn is talking about Planet Fitness. Yes, Planet Fitness is also there. Sure, Planet Fitness was also providing showers and a clean place to be, and not just for everyday citizens, but for the fire department and the police department, people that lost their homes. Thank you for reminding us, Veronica. We really appreciate it. The Hilton Hotel, yes, the Hilton Hotel is another one. They've offered up their facilities to law enforcement and fire to get a shower and get some rest and get back out there and fight the fires. Thanks so much. And yes, I agree, those poor animals out there. I've seen that happen. I've seen animals burned. The sad thing, and somebody mentioned this in one of the chats last night, there are millions of animals out there. Rabbits, birds, deer, other animals out there in the forested areas of LA that have also lost their home, or they may have died as a result of the fast-moving fires. It's a sad day in Los Angeles for humans and animals. A very sad day. And Orange Blossom said this didn't have to happen. I agree. Part of the problem was the politicians. Part of the problem was the politicians. The other is these devil Santa Ana winds, low humidity, and underbrush that could have been prevented. How can the underbrush growing there be prevented? One other thing that NWS.gov has not done in California. In the forested areas of California, there's a lot of them. NWS.gov has not even tried to hire people to go out in the forest and remove some of the dry brush. NWS.gov could have hired people to go out in the forested areas to remove dry brush so they would not be as susceptible to wildfires as they are right now. So again, you can look to your politicians. You can look to your politicians. Your politicians are the ones responsible for what's happened. Fact. It's a fact. And yet I know some of you helped elect these politicians. I know that for a fact as well. It's not your fault. It's not necessarily your individual faults. It's a fault of these greedy politicians. NWS.gov did not get elected as a millionaire. He's now a millionaire. Why? Why is he a millionaire now? Why is Nancy Pelosi a millionaire now? Why is Miss Harris, the vice president of this country, a millionaire now? And why I'm at it? Why did Biden just yesterday send more millions of dollars to Ukraine? Why did he send more $1 million to Ukraine? Why? It wasn't necessary. That also has to come to a screeching halt. You and I pay our taxes, and our tax money is being sent by the President of the United States to the most corrupt country in the world. Fact. And Ukraine is laundering the money right back to Biden's pockets and Obama's pockets. Fact. It's a proven fact. And Congress, Veronica Lynn saying Congress as well. Yes, absolutely Congress. This present Congress actually it's not this session of Congress now. It's the last session, the 118th session of Congress. Tried to get away with a 1,500-page bill, a funding bill. What were they trying to fund? They were trying to build a new football and baseball stadium in Washington, D.C. Why? Why was the federal government trying to fund a new baseball, football stadium in Washington, D.C., and many other things like that. All of us stood up and said, no way. We called our congressman. I even called Mike Johnson again and said, what the hell? And guess what? That bill was stopped dead in its tracks. Then we got another bill that was only 100 pages. They were trying to get rid of all that money before the end of the year, before they went on the Christmas break, thinking that they could just pad that bill full of all kinds of pork. That was stopped. That was stopped with a funding bill that was not 1,500 pages. And they only gave the congressman 12 hours to read 1,500 pages worth of bill. What a crock of crap that is. Within 3-4 days, they had a 100-page bill that did get passed to keep the government running. It's amazing what the voice of the people does. To stop these congressmen, these greedy butthead congressmen, who were also trying to give themselves a raise. Yes, they were trying to give themselves a raise from $175,000 a year to $250,000 a year, each congressman. That was stopped. That was stopped. Hopefully that will not happen again. Now, you can pat yourselves on the back, and I'm patting you on the back as well. Because all of you helped me and helped our fellow man stop this kind of out-of-control spending. Okay? Hardnack Farm says they're getting all kinds of snow right now. Yes, we've got a storm crossing the United States that's going to reach the East Coast starting tomorrow. We've already had very cold temperatures here. Temperatures got down to 17 degrees last night here in Morganton, North Carolina. And it got down to single digits earlier this week. Well, tomorrow, the storm system that has been providing snow and rain across this country is going to provide us snow tomorrow here in Morganton. Sometime after 7 p.m. tomorrow night, we're expecting to see the low pressure system move into our area with moisture that's going to get maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow by tomorrow night. Okay? That's what's happening. A lot of people's lives are in danger because of the cold. We need to also think about those people. And we need to pray for those people as well. We need to pray for those that are sick and afflicted. Even members of our own EMA family. They're having health issues. Pray for each other, guys. Please pray for each other. Hardneck Farm says their temperatures went up to 33 there in Guthrie, Oklahoma. But the snow is really coming down now. I can only imagine. I hope you stay warm. Please be safe. When there's blizzards like that out, please don't travel. Don't risk your lives. Before the blizzards come in, before the cold weather comes in and freezes the roads over, make sure you have adequate supplies to get you through the storm. Be safe out there. Get bundled up. Tomorrow night will be our Preparedness Friday. We're going to talk about emergency preparedness. And we're going to talk more about these fires in California. Okay? Does anybody have any questions? Christine says, Ron, everyone will survive and are coming back afterwards after the transitions of whole beings. I agree. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Hurricane Heather says there's lots of storm chasers out chasing so we can watch the storm from home. Please be safe out there. Hardneck Farm says they have wood ready to start a fire. And they're in flannel jammies and under electric blankets. I hope you can keep your power, because as a storm cold moves in, it's going to snap power lines, and there's probably going to be some power outages with this cold front. It's bad. Rebecca Griffiths is here in the chat. Thank you for being here, Rebecca. We appreciate you. She says it's snowing in southern New Mexico. Wow. Wow. Everyone be safe out there. Now, we will be back on the air approximately 6:30 p.m. this evening. Please, guys, if you have any questions, write them down. I'll be happy to take any questions tonight. I'll be talking about earthquakes in California because we have earthquakes in California. I will also have some information about earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault. We've had quite a few people asking questions about the New Madrid. We've had quite a few people asking questions about the Pacific Northwest, the volcanoes, and the Cascade Megathrust earthquake. We answered questions about the Cascade earthquake last week. I will answer more questions tonight. Please write your questions down and be prepared to ask the questions tonight on our Emergency Management Associates program. About between 6 and 6:30 will be on the air. I appreciate you all being here today. It gives me great honor to have all of you people here with us this morning on our first and second broadcasts. Right now we have 280 people watching our broadcasts. I really appreciate that. Folks, also on your way out, please give us a thumbs up if you liked what we've been doing tonight or today. Give us a thumbs up. Also, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. That's also very important. Subscribe to our channel so you will know when we come on the air. When you subscribe to our channel, there's something else you need to do. There's a little bell icon right next to the subscription button. After you subscribe, click on that bell icon. When that bell icon is clicked on, it will have a drop-down menu of 3 items. Click on the word ALL. That should get you notified when we come on the air. But be advised, YouTube doesn't like us, just like they've been buffered our first broadcast until it went down. You may not always get notified when we come on the air. But during the week, we come on the air between 6 and 7 p.m. every evening. We have Saturdays off. However, if something does happen, just like has happened this week, we will come back on the air as soon as the information presents itself, so we can pass on the emergency information to all of you. We do that in the middle of the night, the middle of the day, and we come on and broadcast Monday through Friday between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you all being here. God bless you all. God bless you all. And have a good day. We will see you at 6 p.m. Good night, good afternoon, everybody.